Hey there, my name is Alex Bandar. I'm the founder and CEO of the Columbus Idea Foundry. We're a makerspace in Columbus, Ohio. That means we have tools from 3D printing to blacksmithing. We teach theory-light, practice-heavy classes on all of our tools, and then we sell memberships so people can make their things at our workshop 24/7. I regularly give a presentation that I call the democratization of design, but I think it is very important to take into account manufacturing if that's the end goal for your product. So rather than trying to 3D print a million things, I'd like our innovators to think about those processes that will make their ideas scalable and to prototype for the manufacturing process rather than for the 1 or 10 or 50 units they can make at the shop. Hence, I think this conference is an excellent idea. I look forward to learning and contributing, and I put together a brief 6 or 7 minute presentation with PowerPoint slides and a voiceover about our culture. It's a shorter version of a 30-minute presentation that's also available online. If you're interested in either, watch them both or reach out and talk to me directly. I'd love to keep the conversation going. You can reach me at alex@columbus-ideafoundry.com. Other contact info is available at the end of the video. Thanks so much. I call this presentation the democratization of design, and by the end of it, I hope you'll also understand why I subtitle it How to Create 7 Billion Educated and Empowered Innovators. This is a briefer version of a 30-minute presentation, also available online. If you like what you see here, I encourage you to check that one out or just to contact me directly to keep the conversation going. So I think about 10 years ago, 4 phenomena came together that have resulted in a hockey stick-like increase in people's ability to take ideas out of their head and hold it in their hands. And those are free online education, from things like YouTube to more formal massive open online courses, the open source software movement, where you can legally download powerful, practical, free design tools, digital prototyping equipment that will create the designs that you've crafted with those open source software programs, which you might have learned to use by watching YouTube or MOOCs, and then innovations in financing, such as crowdfunding, will help put fuel in your tank. If you have a cell phone with a camera, a halfway decent sense of humor, and a good idea, you can create a 2 or 3 minute video, pitch it to the world, and the world will reward you. Billions have been raised through crowdfunding over the last few years. So I think the only bottlenecks remaining in taking an idea and actually realizing it are access to those tools and maybe to a friendly and talented community of people to help you turn the crank on this whole process once. I think that's the heart of every makerspace. It's certainly the heart of the Idea Foundry. Here we are. We're a 60,000 square foot warehouse with about 25,000 square feet of workshop tools, from 3D printing and laser cutting to blacksmithing and metal casting, about 25,000 square feet of office space, offices for startups, event space for meetups, classroom space for learning, etc. And we're part of a dynamic neighborhood. We're a stone's throw from the local science museum, a stone's throw from the local Center of the Arts, and this makes for an ecosystem for creatives and technologists who want to start businesses. Really exciting. Here we have a snapshot of our community. We have a very popular women's welding class that sells out the day we offer it. We even help Girl Scout troops get their product design merit badges with our laser cutter. Really fun. Make Magazine is the champion of this tech DIY culture. They coined the term maker movement, maker fairs, things like that. And a few years ago, they hosted a couple of competitions to see which city around the world could bring the most people together to do things like 3D printing, or electronics and programming, or robotics. About 300 cities competed, from New York to San Francisco, London to Singapore, and nobody was more surprised than we were when Columbus came in first in the world for 3D printing, first in the world for electronics and programming. We came in second in the world for robotics, but we sponsor a high school First Tech Challenge robotics team that came in first in the world in their own 3,000 school competition. The final was in Australia. So I think this shows what happens when you give a dynamic community access to tools, education, and encouragement to create. And here we have a few of those innovations and projects that have come out of the Idea Foundry. Our friend Todd Perkins designed and built his own electric motorcycle. He actually built this at our shop, and it spent a month at the Motorcycle Hall of Fame. I think this is an example of a moonshot project created by an impassioned innovator. We also have an example of socially forward design engineers who created what's called a thresher. This is an agricultural device to separate seed from chaff. They wound up tripling the crop yield of farmers in Mali from 30% to 90%. Really empowering, really gratifying stuff. Michael Cow is a Honda engineer, and he also created his 3D printing company at the Idea Foundry. It's called IC 3D Printing. He builds not just the printers, but also ran a successful crowdfunding campaign to buy a plastic extrusion press to create the filament for these printers. And that filament is the best rated in the industry. Knockout Concepts is Franklinton's first tech startup, and Jake and Brooks had created their 3D scanner before meeting us at the Idea Foundry. We're glad to collaborate with them regularly, and they hope to bring 3D scanning to the masses. We're also glad to have a good old-fashioned blacksmithing shop under our roof where we can do things like ornamental ironwork or Damascus steel. And I think it's critical for artists and engineers to collaborate. I think that's where innovation resides. And if those folks can also meet with business development people or marketing people or branding people on our second floor, now you have an ecosystem for one-stop creative and tech companies. And that's what we're trying to foster on our second floor, with a creative place that people want to be, a productive place where folks are creating businesses, selling products, networking with other folks. And I think as this culture spreads, especially across the world, things like the Ubi Slate, which is a $35 phablet, that's a phone and a tablet, designed to reach the price point of families in India, will empower 200 million students in India over the next 5 years. And people in low infrastructure regions where electricity isn't always regularly available can use something like a gravity light, which was a crowd-funded project to create clean light and electricity by having a bag of rocks or sand slowly pulled down by gravity, spinning a high gear ratio motor that creates light and electricity. And Google has a program called Project Loon that's planning on providing Wi-Fi to the planet with a fleet of hot air balloons by 2020. It sounds a little crazy, but it's already trialing in New Zealand. So you can imagine someone with an Ubi Slate can charge it with a gravity light, and they could be standing in a field in New Zealand receiving internet from Project Loon, where they can be learning things on YouTube or on MOOCs, downloading simple design software, emailing their designs to a makerspace or to a service bureau, and otherwise generally being empowered to realize their ideas. I think what this means is that soon it won't just be the tiny sliver of the total global talent who are our engineers, our designers, our software developers who are creating all of our products. I think conceivably we can see a culture where 7 billion educated and empowered innovators are learning what they want to learn, solving their own problems, generally making the world a better place to live. That's something I'm deeply motivated to see happen. If you're curious, check out that other website, that other video. Check out our website, columbusideafounder.com. Visit my own blog, Adventures of an Accidental Entrepreneur. It's also at my name, alexanderbandar.com. Or just email or call me. Love to keep the conversation going. Thank you.